computer. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for Agilent Nonprofits. We are here to celebrate a huge milestone. About a year ago, we had a group of amazing nonprofit professionals together in a room in Washington, D.C., as Agilent Nonprofits and Scrum Inc. came together to offer the first Scrum Master for Nonprofits course. And that class, it wouldn't have been the same without my co-facilitator, co-leader, Avi Schneier. So good to see you again. I can't believe that was a year ago.
I know, it's crazy, Diane. I'm so happy to see you. And I want to say hello to Megan, of course, and Mitch and Shelly and Elizabeth, if you're out there watching from our first cohort. It was such a great time in DC. We had so much fun, and we also learned a lot about how we might bring Agile to the world of nonprofits, specifically by embracing the Scrum framework and all it can, all the potential it can help them fulfill.
Yeah, I remember so many of those first questions. We got together, everyone still got their coffee in hand, trying to get warmed up for those 2 days and thinking about what does this look like, right? We had everyone from like government agencies through small nonprofits, nonprofit consultants. It was such a mix. And they all had a deep understanding, I think, and passion that there was a reason why they were there. Like, why might this work for their nonprofit setting? So let's start there. Avi, what do you think? Why is Scrum appropriate for nonprofits to think about? Why could it help them?
There's a really interesting way to look at work in terms of its complexity, in terms of, it's called the Stacy matrix, if anyone's ever seen it before. And it puts the requirements or how well you know what you're supposed to be doing on the y-axis, and then it puts the how on the x-axis. And it's so funny, right? Because in Scrum, we separate the what from the how, So it's really cool that Stacy did this himself, Ralph Stacy. And when you take a look at this, there are lots of different kinds of work. There's 4 major kinds. One of them is simple, which you could kind of think of like wrapping a Whopper at Burger King, right? The procedure is known, you know what it goes in, you know the order. Then it goes to complicated. And that might be something like running a Burger King franchise. The next type of work is called complex. And this is where you're starting to get into the area of, well, we don't know exactly what we want, and we also don't know exactly how we're supposed to do it. And this is where I think most nonprofits are living, in this area. An analogy, if you want to continue my Burger King analogy, that would be like opening up a Burger King franchise, but in Japan, where you have no idea what the menu should be like, because they eat vastly different foods and food combinations than we do here in the United States. This to me is like the nonprofit world. There's so much unknown and so much changing in terms of funding being available, projects that they could do, how they're going to achieve those projects. Think about something really cool like, I don't know, bringing water to a village in Africa that has none. Okay, so we know we have to bring water there, but where is the water? Why don't they have it? How are we going to build a system that does that? There are so many complexities around it. Or let's bring something back to the United States. What about an education initiative? Like something that brings diversity, equity, and inclusion to an area of the United States where that type of curriculum isn't really prominent. Well, we know the kind of curriculum we want, but how do we bring it to a place where it hasn't been instantiated or appreciated before like it is in most large cities? That's tough, right? We know a lot about what, we have no idea about how. And if you're talking about bringing education to people which have very different value sets, how do we make that coalesce? How do we bring that together? This is that complex area. By the way, the final area on the Stacy matrix is called chaotic. And not that Agile doesn't work there, but really nothing works there. You kind of have to use Agile to kind of rein it in, because one of the things that working in an Agile way or what Scrum does is it helps you to discover while you deliver. So as opposed to like trying to separate the two out, let's discover and then deliver, which wastes a lot of time and also ends up being often wrong, right? We spend all this time trying to discover what our customers or what our funders, in the case of if we're getting funding, for example, in the nonprofit world, we're trying to figure out what it is they want. But by the time we figure that out, it's already changed. And that's the issue. So in order to kind of tighten that feedback loop, this is what doing Scrum, this is the benefit that doing Scrum brings to the nonprofit world that we've been appreciating in the for-profit world for 20 years, right? We want to merge that together. We always talk about doing twice the work in half the time. Well, what if we could save twice the lives in half the time? What if we could save twice, twice the planet, twice the acreage, if we gave to, for example, the Nature Conservancy or something like that in half the time? What if we could do that? That's the power I see.
Perfect pointer towards our tagline at Agilent Nonprofits, creating twice the impact in half the time, right? Because there are so many mission-driven, amazing things happening. We don't want to just think about our work. We want to think about what we're creating and changing. And so I'm glad you clarified what was the fourth kind, and that was chaotic, and we didn't want to be there. It's like, well, where nonprofits are going to, they want to be the best. So they're going to wonder, where are we headed? What comes after that? We don't want to be there. We want to be in that third state. I love the analogy, and I think that'll help a lot of folks. So Avi, as we think about all the different types of nonprofits, you've cited some just different examples with very different missions. So what do you think in terms of, if you had to give one tip? I know you have many. You always have lots of ideas and suggestions, but one key tip for nonprofits that are thinking about the Scrum framework, what is it?
This is a really good question. So most people are familiar with a bumper sticker piece of advice from Mahatma Gandhi. It says, "Be the change you want to see in the world." First of all, I want you to know that's not what Gandhi said. He didn't. It's actually a really long quote that he gave at one point in time. I want you to forget about that part. I want you to go to the very last sentence of that quote. He said, "We need not wait to see what others do." I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give, this is the biggest piece of advice I give to nonprofits, and actually anybody for that matter. Nonprofits have been waiting to see Agile work. You don't need to. The proof is already out there for 20 plus years in industry. You don't need any more proof. You don't need to wait to see another nonprofit start it. You need to start now. If you're a mission-driven organization, then why wouldn't you grab whatever is going to make that mission a reality as fast as possible? And I don't care what you're grabbing, whether you're grabbing a shovel because you're working for Habitat for Humanity and you're saying, wait a second, this shovel doesn't work. I need a shovel with a sharper point. I don't care if you're out there in education and you're saying, hey, we got to get these kids to pass these state exams better because they've been failing. Schools have been failing. Great. What's the newest thing that's going on in the world of education that's going to beat out Common Core or whatever it is? Go grab it. Scrum, Agile ways of working, they're tools. They aren't panaceas. They aren't silver bullets. They're tools. Grab them now and just start going. The whole point of being Agile is to figure out how best to use it as you go. And I truly believe, because so many great minds don't go into industry, they go to nonprofits because they're mission driven. And it's not just about having a strong mind, it's about having a good heart. And that's what we find in Agile. And that good heart in Agile and in nonprofits, that's together. You have that. That's the big similarity between the people who do Agile and the people in the nonprofit world, is good hearts. So if you just grab those Agile ways of working and start going now, I know you're going to find the right way to use it for you.
Mic drop. That is amazing advice, Avi. As always, I have no doubt. And I don't know about you, but when I think about all the things we've seen from those who have gone through our program and have become Scrum Masters by Scrum Inc., who have become product owners by Scrum Inc., with this nonprofit focus in their coursework, I can't even begin to describe how inspiring it is. And I can't wait to see 1 year from now what we'll be talking about for some of their success stories.
Absolutely.
Mind-blowing. So
when you think about it, Diane, right? The whole driving point of Scrum is continuous improvement. Mm-hmm. The whole driving point of the missions of nonprofits is to continually improve the world. There's just no conflict. They should just do it right now.
I love it. Avi, thank you so much. It was great to see you. Can't wait to see what people create next with this.
Absolutely. Keep me informed.